know that tomorrow we will have this visit to the local area as one of our module 4, where we will be going to visit Ellora caves. And it would be really a wonderful experience for each of us, sitting at our own places and visiting these Ellora caves, which is a World Heritage destination, through the online mode. So many of us have never been there, but now it is possible. So tomorrow at 10:45 a.m., we'll be making this visit to Ellora, the World Heritage Site. And there will be the closing ceremony with celebrations tomorrow afternoon, where we would be getting our Education Minister, Shri Ramesh Pokhriyal ji, also with us. So tomorrow is our last day for SIP, and for all our participants, just to inform them, the afternoon tomorrow will be for the celebrations for the conclusion of this eSIP program, which is being done as a sampler by AICTE. And for these past 2 weeks, through various modules, we have got ample amount of information which enables us in ensuring this holistic development within us. So now, since there is another 5 minutes before we formally start with our sharing session at 4:30, I would just like to put forth the information regarding the schedule tomorrow quickly. So tomorrow morning, we will be starting at 7:30 with our physical health and related activity module, which we have been doing, yoga and pranayam and other activities. And then at 9:30, we have this familiarization of department, branches, etc., which is being done. So you will be going through one of the colleges via this online tour. And then there will be this visit to local area through the video mode only. And we will be visiting Ellora, a World Heritage Site, while sitting at our own places. We'll be visualizing this. And then, of course, there will be the SIP creators, we can say the people who are involved in creating this whole set, from BHU, Shishir Gupta ji and Ruchir Gupta ji and the NCCIP chairman, etc., talking to all our participants, followed by this grand celebration from 2 p.m. onwards. And now we are very in our celebration session from 2 p.m. onwards. We will have Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal ji, the Honorable Minister of Education, Government of India, as our chief guest. And that is something which I would like to inform to all our participants, that he will be there. And now in our session at 4:30, that is the sharing session, we would be in the sharing session, we would be hearing from Professor S K Kak ji. And there is a huge and explicit set of bio sketch of Professor S K Kak ji, and I would like to hand over the session to the moderator of this session. So, Namir sir, Manisha di.
Yeah, ma'am, thank you. So nice.
Namaskar, sir. Now the session is with you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Manisha, ma'am.
Namaste, Namir Bhaiya. And of
yeah,
course,
Manisha, ma'am.
Vanchana
And namaste to all those present.
Yes, and a very, very warm welcome to Kak sir. He's already joined us.
Yeah, sir.
15 minutes back, I could see. So that's
punctual
really
as usual. Good evening,
yes.
sir. And on behalf of all those present, the panelists, the AICTE team members, the NCCIP members, as well as the students, the faculties, and the guardians who've been part of this short journey, we all welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening to all of
Good
you,
evening,
all the
sir.
participants, all the people who have been working hard to make this a success. and in informing people, empowering them, and enlightening them. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening, Kak sir. Namaste.
Namaste, Rajulji. Namaste.
Welcome, welcome. So nice
So-
that you could join us.
Since there is an air of eagerness amongst all to hear, sir, to all present, since Professor Kak, the name itself needs no introduction, but in fact, a informal introduction of sir would be as that he was born in Srinagar, Kashmir, completed his BSc Electrical Engineering, MTech and PhD at IIT-BHU, and joined as faculty in IIT-BHU in December 71. He became reader and professor of electronics engineering and was director Computer Center BHU, chairman Telecom Services Committee BHU, and the president of IT Gymkhana. Since his student days, Professor Kak was active in engineering model making activity and learned how theoretical knowledge is applied to solve real world problems. He honed his engineering skills and translated many ideas into active products that have won many awards, prizes, and won US patent as well. As a faculty, he established Communications Lab 1973, Optical Communication Lab 78, Digital Communication Lab 79, and was also instrumental in starting the MTech program in 79 in Communication Systems Engineering at IIT-BHU. He has completed 6 R&D projects for DAE, AICTE, DRDO, MIT, and ISRO as principal investigator, and contributed variously to electronic product designs, technology reviews, and helped many government He has been advisor to DRDO for EW Project Samyukta, SW Radio and Cognitive Radio, FH Network Systems, etc. Professor Kak was director of JP Institute of Information Technology, Noida from January 2003 till February 2006, and has been an independent director on the BSNL board from February 2008 till 2011 Feb. He was later appointed as the Vice Chancellor of Chaudhry Charan Singh University, Meerut in 2008, and then Vice Chancellor of Mahamaya Technical University, Noida in 2010, from where he retired in November 2013. He then joined the JP University of Information Technology, Solan, as Vice Chancellor in March 2014, which he left in May 2015, is now working as a freelancer since then for promoting life and professional skill development using innovative techniques for training and certification. Professor Kak has published 41 papers in both national and international journals, delivered over 150 invited talks, guest lectures, special seminars, and various topics related to communication systems, engineering education, and life skills to audiences from research organizations and industrial experts. He has been member of selection committees of various universities, national organizations, expert and co-chairman of RAC for selection of scientists for DRDO, ISRO, and DA, executive committee member of AICTE, chairman of NWRO, AICTE, member UGC Excellence Committee, member NBA Convener Council, Governing Council, I beg your pardon, chairman of MHRD AICTE Committee of Stanford Students Learning Assessment Project. Currently, he is Senate member of SRM and IIMT University, Academic Advisory Board, member of Bennett University and NCU Gurugram. So on behalf of all, Professor Kak, we welcome you all once again. And we are very eager to hear the sparks flying in the students by your noble words of wisdom and guidance. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you for the nice words. And it's always a baggage that one collects over the period of time. But the major thing has been, a major focus of my life has been to learn how to learn. And I have therefore thought that it would be good to start telling our students and teachers and other particular people how the learning attitude, learning behavior, learning methodologies, learning technologies have changed over the past few decades. Something that has happened during this COVID period has made it even more important that we understand that learning happens when we are able to query, question, analyze, and want to understand the underlying phenomena of any particular topic, thing, or phenomena. So my basic approach to education is based on learning for the sake of learning as such, and learning for disseminating what you have learned to the students. The first thing that happened with me was that there were issues when we were students that we wanted to explore, but they were not part of our curriculum. Necessarily, there are things that cannot be covered in the curricula. So you have some time, you have some freedom, you have some this thing to understand and know on your own or learn on your own through going to library, going through books, going through other particular interactions with friends, with senior teachers, with people who might not be directly teaching you. And I was fortunate to have such brilliant teachers in Banaras Hindu University from various disciplines. Banaras Hindu University is a place which is so rich because it has such a diversity of people, diversity of disciplines, diversity of institutions, diversity of departments, that you want to know about anything under the sun, and there is someone there who knows about it, who is researching on it, and who is wanting to share that knowledge. So that was the fundamental thing that empowered me. And I therefore think that it is probably one of the most enlightening things for a person to go and explore things on his own, as well as try to understand what's being put into the curriculum. I would give a small example. We did not have much in terms of education because I was from the non-medical side. I did not have much exposure to biology. I did not have much exposure to botany, zoology, life sciences as such. But being a human being, and every day you interact with your body, with yourself, so you want to know what are the things that happen in biological systems. Secondly, many of the things that we do today in engineering, or that we used to do earlier, are basically from the understanding of biological systems, because it has taken millions of years to evolve them, to perfect them, to optimize them in a particular direction. And that has such an enriching experience if you try to go and observe it. So I felt that that was a deficiency in me, and therefore I was fortunate enough to have few very good scientists, very good people, even engineers, whom I interacted with and who could enlighten me on biological systems. An example was that we were once discussing why the coconut trees or palm trees are hollow within. And there was one Professor Talukdar from mechanical engineering, and he said, you know, the strength of the weight of the thing and the strength is basically in the fibrous outer shell. And that thing, when it grows, it does not it has the flexibility, it does not have high weight, yet it has the ability to withstand strong wind forces, and it doesn't have much vegetation to stop that wind, but at the top end, it has enough energy collecting fronts and energy connecting things so that it can create fruits, it can create its own food and share that food through coconut or through other particular things. So how nature evolves things, how nature optimizes things, while the same particular nature gives you different kind of trees in woods that are there in the plains, that are there in the hills, that are there in the high altitude places. So that is one thing fascinating about biology, and that's one thing fascinating about systems that have evolved in biological systems. So we try to learn from them, and that is why the learning part is the most important aspect of our growth, of our development. So when I start talking in terms of that, we also try to understand that learning happens both as an individual, as a group, and as a person who is trying to teach. So learning as a student, learning as a team member, and learning as a teacher, all the three aspects are slightly different. When you are learning as a student, you take it for granted that what the teacher is telling you, it has a certain particular meaning, and it is sharing his own particular vast reservoir of knowledge, which adds to what is the content that is generally trying to talk about. So when we are trying to talk in terms of learning as a student, we are basically trying to understand that at that particular time, it's a cultured learning. It's a learning which is controlled learning. It's a learning which is focused learning. It's a learning which is to be applied and tested by others, by outside agencies. So when you are learning in a classroom, you appear in a test, or you appear in a quiz, or you appear in a ask questions for clarifying certain doubts, then at that particular time, there is a structured course, there's a structured curricula, and in that structured curricula, you understand one particular subject or one particular topic or one particular area of knowledge. So when you're doing that, your focus is therefore on that limited area of human understanding. But as you grow and want to interact with your friends or want to interact with a particular group where people from different branches are there, say for instance, you have a project, and that project is supposed to be having people from mechanical engineering, people from civil engineering, people from electrical engineering, people from electronics engineering, and people from other particular design engineering, because you want to create something which has the requirement of all these particular components. So when you do that particular project, then what is it that you learn? First thing, what you learn is how to apply knowledge. And apply knowledge for what? Apply knowledge so that a problem at hand can be solved. So first you know that there is a problem. You identify that problem. You try to understand, evaluate, and analyze that problem, and try to arrive at certain particular solutions, either as an individual or as a group. Now, when the group is there, each one of them has his own mind, has his own experience, has his own learning, has his own ideas, and has his own particular way of handling problems, solving problems. So the beautiful thing is that it gives you a multidimensional perspective on the same one particular problem, how different people are looking at it, how different people are attacking that particular problem, and how different people are trying to come up with solutions. This particular idea of being able to, as a group, attack a certain particular problem and then resolve that what is the best and the optimal solution is probably the biggest learning that will be useful, not only at that time in solving that particular problem, but throughout your life. Problems will be there, solutions will be there, but the idea is that while we are trying to solve the particular problem, we are trying to implement the solutions. Initially, the constraints of solutions were not that many. As the 21st century or the latter part of 20th century happened, constraints in engineering solutions or constraint in solutions started becoming more and more obvious and more restrictive. Constraint of the environment, concerns about its impact, concern about recycling, concerns about what kind of materials are being used, concerned how they are being disposed, concerns as to what kind of processing is being used, and in that processing, how much amount of harm is being made or harm is being done to the environment, to the soil system, to the water bodies, to the other particular things. These started coming up as a very, very important issues in case of processes. And the third thing, many of the techniques that we used have earlier for production, they also started migrating towards what is known as a more energy saving systems that are more efficient in productive wise, in consumption of energy, and in consumption of resources. How much amount of wastage they create and how much amount of impact they have on the waste that are generated. And finally, what is the after the life cycle, after the product is over, after the product's life is over, after you have used it for some time, and then want to throw it out of the system, then where does it go? What happens to it? What happens to the minerals it has? What happens to the other particular toxic or non-toxic systems that it can impose on the environment? So the whole life cycle, understanding that, making systems which are less harmful to the environment, that became a very important consideration. Simultaneously, in the 21st century, what happened, another particular thing, that there were multiple sources in terms of what technologies can be used. Example is that you can, I'm talking of a very specific area, that you can have a particular system in which the hardware does some of the things and the software does some of the things. So the combination of hardware and software together, they become the whole system, because the system itself has to be agile, has to be dynamic, has to be optimal, and has to evolve with what it is trying to do. And this is probably one of the most front-running areas today, that we try to evolve things, we try to design things through AI. We call them machine learning, we call them artificial intelligence, we call them systems with smarter behavior. And that is the particular thing that comes up when you are trying to solve problems, solve issues of today's world. So when we are trying to talk in terms of a teacher, when a teacher is learning, he is learning at a different plane. He is learning at a plane where he wants to experience what his students should experience, where he wants to understand how their learning happens and tries to help them in learning. The days when teacher used to say something and that used to be the final word are over. Today, there are certain areas where the knowledge is so vast, so voluminous, so large, that no individual can do it. No individual can have the complete knowledge. But the same particular knowledge is available to everyone, whether it is through internet, whether it is through journals, whether it is through targeted websites or other particular very focused content. So all these particular things are available to the teacher, are also available to the student. So then what is the difference in students' learning, in teachers' learning? So that now the teacher learns what he has to teach to the students, and at the same time tries to tell them how to learn that in a particular manner which he experiences himself. But he has also to understand that the same learning behavior is not true with every student. Every student has a different learning behavior and a particular learning style. So what he can do is he mixes multiple learning styles when he is giving a lecture. And at that particular time, the four major learning styles are, number one, somebody is very good at remembering stories. So he tries to weave a story about a particular topic. Somebody is very good at understanding diagrams, graphics, and therefore he tries to either bring out a video or bring out certain sketches or bring out certain diagrams, and therefore through those diagrams tries to explain things. Somebody is very good at analytical things. So he tries to make the solution in the form of equations, in the form of mathematical systems, mathematical simulations, mathematical models, and then tries to show how they are going to behave. And the fourth one, sometimes a person is very, very happy once he does some things with his own hands or by experience interacting with that particular blessing. So that at that particular time, the teacher tries to bring in certain question-answer interactions that can help while we are either in the classroom or we are trying to do something on a simulator or we are trying to do something in a laboratory. So all these four different styles, I mean, there are multiple more, but we're focusing at the present moment only on these four there because they are the major ones. So when we do this, then understand how the teacher has to learn in each of these phases and has then to translate that particular topic into these different learning modes related to the students and then come up with a comprehensive learning style for his students. You will obviously ask that does the teacher or does the curricula have time enough to do things in such a manner? Absolutely constrained. We are all constrained with time. There's no one who doesn't have the constraint of time. Nothing on this world can stop time. So if we are constrained with time, then how do we approach this? We approach this in two ways. Number one, what we have to teach, we teach in combination of first three. Combination of first three means we try to bring in a certain amount of sketch, certain drawings, certain videos, and do some certain analytical modeling, do some derivations, and from the derivations, from the mathematical model, we try to predict what is going to happen. And therefore, while we are trying to do that, that analytical analysis itself is a story. So we can tell that if there is a differential equation, and that differential equation tries to tell me how the stresses are distributed, or how the diffusion of a particular gas or liquid or any particular thing happens in a particular body, or how a stress is traveling in a particular limb, or how an electronic force is being impacted by fields, all these particular things can be dealt with by differential equations. So you have a very simple-handed tool, the differential equation, the partial differential equation, the multidimensional differential equation. And so you go on applying that, and you try to show how these differential equations are related to the object or related to the problem, how they are giving a solution, and how that solution then gives you a deeper understanding about that particular object, or about that particular phenomena, or about that particular idea. So the combination of the three gives you a certain ability to relate and abstract with the idea and then come up with a solution. So these are the three different learning courses that one has to go through in life as a student, as a member of the group, and as a teacher. This is what I wanted to share with you. And one more thing that I would love to talk about is that learning is probably a fundamental thing about every living object. There is no living object which does not learn. It's not only a quality of human beings. Modern science has proved that every individual and every species has its learning phenomena. So learning to me is important if you want to live. And life itself is the greatest teacher. So if life is a teacher, living is learning. And one who is smart to learn better in life is the one who succeeds in life. This is the mantra that I think is important for all of you. Dear students, one of the most important things that you will have as part of your university education, school education, is that you have a controlled environment of learning. You have a topic, you have a course curricula, you have set rules by which you have to learn, and set things that boundaries of what you have to learn. But life is not like that. Life is what gives you abundant information. Life gives you abundant opportunities, and life gives you abundant tests. Some of them very, very strenuous. I have some this thing. Someone saying that please speak in Hindi. I do not understand the English. Shivashish Dubey. All fairness. I'm sorry, Shivashish. मैं आपके साथ अभी आपका ये ऑब्जर्व किया मैंने, अभी आपकी चैट मैंने देखी. मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूं कि मैं अंग्रेजी और हिंदी मिला के बोलूं. I will try to talk in Hindi and English together because there are some friends from South, there are some friends from other particular areas who do not understand Hindi. So हम लोग वो भाषा बोलेंगे जो सबको समझ में आए. और भाषा का एक और बड़ा निराला डायमेंशन है, और वो ये है कि अगर आप किसी एक भाषा में बोलना चाहो तब भी नहीं बोल सकते. मैं अगर चाहूं भी कि मैं सिर्फ हिंदी में बोलूं या सिर्फ अंग्रेजी में बोलूं तो बहुत मुश्किल है. मैं अभी तक बोल रहा था, अंग्रेजी में बोल रहा था, क्योंकि जिंदगी भर हमने पढ़ाया अंग्रेजी में है, तो इसलिए मैंने उसी में बोला. मगर मेरा ये कहना है कि जो हम सीखते हैं जब हम किसी क्लास में होते हैं, व्हेन वी आर इन ए क्लास वी लर्न, वो जो हम सीखते हैं वो एक पूरे कंस्ट्रेंट में होता है, एक पर्टिकुलर तरीके से होता है, एक पर्टिकुलर तरीके के लिए होता है, एक पर्टिकुलर इम्तिहान के लिए होता है, या एक पर्टिकुलर सिलेबस के लिए होता है. मगर जिंदगी जो है उसमें कोई सिलेबस नहीं है. जिंदगी में कोई एक इम्तिहान नहीं है. हर मोड पे, हर जगह आपको एक इम्तिहान देना पड़ता है. कुछ आप जानते हैं, कुछ आपको पता भी नहीं है. तो मेरा यही कहना था कि जब आप जीवन को जीते हैं तो जीवन अपने में ही एक बहुत बड़ा सीखने का जरिया है, और उस सीखने के लिए आपको एक 4 चीजों का ख्याल जरूरी रखना होता है. और सबसे पहला ख्याल है, the first thing that you must know, or the first thing that you must understand to live is to be inquisitive. आपको उसके बारे में जानने की इच्छा होनी चाहिए. You must be able to question everything. हर चीज के बारे में आपके दिमाग में सवाल आएंगे, उठेंगे, और उन सवालों को जवाब देने के लिए, उन सवालों का जवाब ढूंढने के लिए, उन सवालों को की तह तक जाने के लिए जो आप में जिज्ञासा है, जो what is the passion in you to understand the underlying phenomena and to approach that phenomena with a particular mind, analytical mind, is the most important thing in life. Every small thing in life has something to teach you, and this is where you want to be a lifelong student, or this is why you want to be a lifelong learner. जीवन भर आप एक जिज्ञासु रहेंगे, जीवन भर आप इस चीज की खोज में रहेंगे कि ये क्या हो रहा है, क्यों हो रहा है, कैसे हो रहा है, और कब हो रहा है, इसको मैं कैसे जान पाऊं. How is this thing done? Why am I doing it? How do I do it? And what is the consequence of doing it? It's not exactly in that order. There's no order as a matter of fact. But the basic and fundamental thing is that are we able to question ourselves, question our environment, question our observations, question our thinking, question our beliefs. Do we question our beliefs? Do we question our ideas? Do we question our thoughts? Do we question our understanding? क्या हम अपने आप के साथ हर चीज को समझने के लिए उस पर सवाल उठाते हैं। जो मैं जानता हूं वो कितना सही है, जो मैं नहीं जानता हूं उसको कैसे जान सकूंगा। ये सब जो जिज्ञासाएं हैं, all these particular queries are the most important thing for leading a life of lifelong studentship. And one more thing, that when you are doing this, you cannot be filled with this particular thing that you know. Because the moment you think that you know, you have created a block. Because there is so much to know in everything. So anything we do, there is so much to learn in that. There are so many dimensions to it. इतने ज्यादा उसके विकार हैं, इतने ज्यादा उसके आयाम हैं कि उसके बारे में समझना, उसके बारे में चिंतन करना, उसके बारे में पूरा सिद्धि प्राप्त करना बहुत बड़ा विषय है, बहुत बड़ी ये है, और हमारे पास उतना समय नहीं। सो मेरा ये कहना है कि जीवन में जो भी आप कर रहे हैं, जो भी आप करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, जो भी आपको अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल रही है काम करने की, उसके बारे में अपने आप से, अपने आसपास से उन चीजों के बारे में क्वेश्चन करिए, उन चीजों के बारे में जानने की इच्छा रखिए। और जब भी अगर आप कुछ चीजें जान लेते हैं तो फिर उनको जान के उसको कैसे हम उपयोग में ला सकें, हाउ टू यूज दैट नॉलेज फॉर सॉल्विंग द प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, फॉर सॉल्विंग द प्रॉब्लम्स दैट आर बिफोर अस is the most important application of knowledge. So first is acquiring knowledge, understanding and synthesizing knowledge, applying knowledge. And while these three are part of your knowledge domain, then the last domain comes, which tells you that all this knowledge is just a small, tiny little bit in this vast ocean of knowledge. And if you remember that, moment you remember that whatever you know, whatever little you know, whatever tiny little bit you know, that is very, very small, very, very limited, very, very, I won't say trivial, but very, very few things that you know. And that is wisdom. The ability to understand the limitations of knowledge, the ability to understand your limitations, the ability to understand your learning, the ability to question your learning, the ability to question your knowledge, the ability to place your knowledge in a perspective of the vast things that are around you is the wisdom that guides you and keeps you always humane, keeps you always as a student, and keeps you always ready to learn new things over and over again. With these words, I am closing my monologue and would love to interact with you, love to learn from you, love to have questions from you so that I can know how we can interact further. Thank you. God bless you. And keep learning.
Thank you very much, sir. Nevertheless, none other than Professor Kak himself in the enlightenment mode, wherein he had enlightened us on the holistic development at all stages, all phases, where learning, as you said, is a continuous process, the identification of life itself. And as the blue hands are increasing in numbers, we have a number of students who would like to really interact with you.
Sure.
So we just pass on the mics to them.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Pragati, you have the mic, Pragati, beta. You can unmute yourself. SM Pragati.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Pragati. Good evening, beta.
I want to ask a question.
Yeah, please.
Please.
Professor Kak is ready to hear you.
Yeah.
Sir, what is the difference between understanding and you feel that you are not understanding that particular topic?
The most important difference, beta, is that when you understand a thing, you can explain to others.
Okay.
So if you are saying that you have understood a thing, then try to apply it. Try to tell it to someone else, and try to tell it in your words, not in how you have read it, not in how you have learned it, but in your own words. When you try to say something in your own words, then it really sinks in, and that is the importance of understanding. Understanding means, the beautiful thing is when you break it up, it is understand. You are standing on a particular platform of knowledge and you are under it. That means you have that particular knowledge or that particular learning or that particular information in you, within you, so that you can express it, you can apply it, you can use it anytime, anywhere you want. So anybody asks you about that, you can explain. So that is the difference between understanding and knowledge.
Sir, and then how do you gain confidence?
Say confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence about what? That you have understood it.
Yeah.
So when you feel confident that you will feel confident automatically when you try to explain to someone else about it and are able to tell him what it is, how it is, then you will feel confident about it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Sir,
you.
I have a doubt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in your point of view, how would you solve any problem that comes to you, sir?
Yeah, one more question that has come on YouTube, Kakji.
Yes, sir.
Is from Balko Tandapani. What's your opinion about multiskilling?
Okay.
So we'll have questions coming from all directions now.
Sure. No,
sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in your point of view, how would you solve the problems that?
How will you solve the problem?
That you face it, sir.
Okay. The important thing is first to try to understand and place the problem. There are three kinds of problems. Problems that you have already solved, then how to solve them, Problems that you have never solved before, but you have solved problems nearby that particular issue. So you apply the same experience, same knowledge, and same technique to solve that particular problem. But there are sometimes problems which you have never experienced, never learned about, and never solved. So how do you solve them? How do you this thing? So the best thing that I said is that you must have the ability to understand how what is the background of the problem? What problem is there underlying that particular thing? So problem identification, problem analysis, and problem classification. These are the three things which are important. So once you are able to classify, identify, and analyze a problem, then the solution will start appearing in your mind, and with your knowledge, you will be able to solve that particular problem. So solving a problem has got multiple layers. The first thing is understanding and identifying the problem, then classifying it, whether you have any previous experience about solving such problem, or you have no experience? And if you have previous experience, how did you solve it at that time? Or was it similar problem that this thing you can solve? And then the final thing, as I said, that there are certain problems which you have never faced, never solved. So then at that particular time, you have one very important quality, and that is the analytical quality. The quality to go to the root of the problem, the quality to understand how problems evolve, and then try to understand them.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
Rajul
thank you, sir.
pleasure. राजुल जी, क्या था क्वेश्चन, क्या था यूट्यूब पे?
जी काक जी, वो क्वेश्चन था कि that he is asking about multi-skilling.
Okay.
Is it worthwhile to do multi-skilling or look at things from different angles? I suppose that's probably his question.
Okay. Probably one of the most important things in life is that there is no one particular skill. Just a minute, please. Hello. I'm sorry, मैं अभी एक मीटिंग में हूँ. Yeah. So multi-skilling is basically, you see, anybody and everybody has multiple skills. It's not that we are talking of multiple skills now. Everybody has multiple skills. You have linguistic skills, you have negotiating skills, you have skills of working with your hands, you have skills of working with your, with yourself. You have skills which are basically mental skills, you have skills which are physical skills, you have skills which are intellectual skills, you have skills which are emotional skills. So all these skills are there in everyone. What multi-skilling we are talking about today is how we can use the importance of different levels of skills and different kinds of skills to make yourself a fit into the modern environment where there are multiple challenges. Let me give an example. Suppose you are trying today to move from one point to another point. Previously, you had no way in which you could consult this thing. So today you can consult a Google map. Today you can consult any particular this thing, and you will get the fastest route. You will get the fastest this thing. So you have the first skill is that you want to go from one place to another place. So the idea was earlier you would ask 10 people and come to know wahan se jao, yahan se jao, what, do this, do that. Today you can find it through the Google map. Now, when you are finding it through the Google map, then you have to drive. So you must have a driving skill. You must have the ability to understand the Google map, navigate through that, and drive. So similarly, in today's world, what happens is that there are multiple opportunities to learn different techniques, different things, different ways to interact with people, different ways to stabilize your responses, different cultures, and different technologies that you have to absorb. So multiple skilling is part of the learning process. Anybody and everybody has to have multiple skills. And it is not multiple skills only for the sake of your job, but multiple skills even as a human being you have. You have to be a good son, you have to be a good father, you have to be a good brother, you have to be a good this thing. So your emotional dimensions are also multiple. Similarly, when you are going to your job, you have to be able to talk to your subordinates, you have to be able to talk to your superiors, you have to be able to talk to your colleagues. Similarly, when you go out and you are socializing, you have to have the skills. So there are multiple skills that are needed from you: emotional skills, intellectual skills, social skills, cultural skills, and of course, the skills of the job. So multi-skilling is a part of your being able to handle the world.
So may I ask my question, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir. So, sir, first of all, sir, good evening, sir. So my name is Anand Raj from Shivali College of Engineering. So my
Good evening,
question is
Sandeep.
that, sir, my
Yeah.
question is, sir, if I summarize whatever you said, sir, I can say that in order to gain true and authentic knowledge, we should have critical thinking. So, sir, my
Yes.
question is how to develop this way of critical thinking, sir. First question is this, sir, and one more question, sir. Just one more question.
Sure.
And the second question is, like there is abundant knowledge out there. So,
Mhm.
sir, my question is how to filter what is of my need and what knowledge should I gain out of all this uh, sea of knowledge, sir.
You
This
know,
is my
the beautiful thing is you have answered your own questions.
yes. Also,
You know, it is so wonderful. Your questions are so rich. Your questions are an answer in itself. Your first question
yes,
is that how do we have the capacity to understand what knowledge I need and what knowledge I don't need.
yes,
So the point is that when you are looking for food at that particular time, you are able to understand what food is there available. But if there is multiple food available, then you get confused what to take and what not to take, right?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
So similarly is there with knowledge. There is abundant amount of knowledge available out there. But at a particular period of time, when you are thirsty, you will take water. When you are hungry, you will take some particular food. Either you have uncooked food or you have cooked food. And when you are having the cooked food, you have your own preferences, you have own choices. So you take according to that. So same thing applies to knowledge. If you have thirst for knowledge, you have critical thinking in terms of being able to discriminate. Remember, the critical thinking is nothing but being able to discriminate, to being able to sort out, being able to classify what is good, what is bad. In terms of reference is your problem. Reference is what you are looking for. Reference is what knowledge you are seeking at that particular time. One knowledge which is not important, which is not relevant, which is not needed at one point of time could be the most important in the next moment. So it depends upon what kind of environment you are looking at, what kind of problem you are looking at, what things you are trying to solve at that particular moment, and what is your requirement. That is why the critical thinking is that at that particular time, you will be able to understand what you need, because that is need. So the most of the time the confusion occurs because you are not clear with your needs. You are not clear with what you want. You are not clear with what is the use of the thing that you are trying to learn. So critical thinking gives you that. It gives you a clarity in your mind, clarity in terms of being able to discriminate what is useful and what is not useful. That
Yes,
is thinking, and therefore my experience in life is that if you are passionate about a solution, if you are very, very clear about what problem you have, then you will be able to apply your thinking and apply your this. But this is not something that you learn immediately. This is an experience of life. So as you go on becoming more informed, as you become more and more knowledgeable, critical thinking also evolves simultaneously. You are able to take more critical decisions at critical moments of time as you go ahead. So develop that thinking. Be constantly aware that you want to improve your critical.
yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Good
you.
evening, sir.
Good evening.
I'm very happy and proud talking to you, sir. So at present time, we have facilities like internet and YouTube, all that source we have. But those days, how you managed your studies, sir? Even only the source you have, only teacher. You don't have
Oh, yeah.
options.
Yeah.
How you learned? Like you had a great vision. Can you please share? Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, sometimes it use. I can share you one particular thing. When I was doing my BTech, I needed one paper which had come out in some particular journal. I needed that, so I couldn't get anywhere. I searched in this thing. Even libraries were not networked, so you had to go physically from one institution to another institution in order to search for the libraries there. The index was not shared. So ultimately what happens is that if you are able to locate it, then you request the librarian, sir, I need the copy of this. So there was not much of a photo printing available at that particular time. There was no this thing, photocopying. So you had to go out and take notes by yourself. So it was quite hard life. But one thing is very sure, that with that hard life, it gave you enormous amount of time in order to reflect on your own, which is lacking today. You know, today you have so much of information, so much of inputs coming in, that you are overloaded with information. There is that information overload, and because of that, what happens, sometimes you miss the wood for the forest. So that is where critical thinking again is needed. You need to understand exactly what you want. Google search will give you 10,000 listings, but you need probably 2 or 3 out of them in order to make what you solutions you want. So in our time, it was quite difficult, but it was really, if you wanted, you could get it.
Thank you, sir. Nice to talking to you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, on YouTube, Devang Kharbanda is asking how to stop overthinking. It's a lot of information, a lot of thinking going on.
Yeah. You know, you have multiple filters also simultaneously coming up all over the world. This particular information overload is becoming a very, very important problem, and there are multiple filters that are available. So use those filters, use those filtering techniques in order to narrow down your search. And once you have narrowed down your search, limit it to a particular keywords. And once the keywords are exhausted, once you're through with those keywords, then try to understand what is the theme of your particular search. So that is, according to me, that's what I do.
Hello.
There's a question: thinking of making money, good or bad? Sir, I am not a what I say. I'm not a guru. I'm just trying to tell you that making money is not bad, but making money only making money is bad. If you make money for living, it's good, it's important. But making your life for making money only, turning your life for making money only, that's bad. Simple.
Shivashish, you can unmute yourself. Or Sanju.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Sanju. Yeah, please.
If there is no path there where I want to go, then, sir, what should I do?
That's a wonderful question. Thank you for asking it. Where there is no path, as someone said, when you tread it, a path will be made. But your focus has to be on where you want to go.
Yes, sir.
Remember, where you see no path,
yes,
probably sir, it is because that you have not looked deeper. Because millions and millions of people have come before you, are there at present in the present space and time. Therefore, there is very little chance that there is no one who has treaded that path before you.
Yes, sir.
So, only thing is, if there is a path that no one has tread or no one you know has tread, then at that particular time, think whether it is worth treading that path Think why you want to tread that path. Think what is the goal? Because a path has to lead to a goal. When you
Yes, sir.
start from somewhere, you want to go somewhere, and then only you find a path. So if you are clear where your goal is, and you know you are not searching only for something that is satisfying you alone, but if it is a goal that is a larger goal for humanity, I'm sure there will be multiple this thing. But if you are looking for some path that is unique, that is singled out for you,
Yes, sir.
then also you can make it if you are very clear in your mind, because every step you take will tell you where to place the next foot.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for clearing my doubt.
Thank you.
We can have one more question because we have taken a lot of your time as well. Shivashish, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे शिवाशीष? Anirban, you have the mic. You can unmute yourself.
Sir, can you discuss tomorrow's schedule?
Yeah, that will do, Pragati. Definitely, that will do. So we can have a question from a faculty, Dr. Vanama Devi. They're probably having some network problems.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah, Anirban, you got muted yourself.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Anirban, good evening.
Sir, I have a query for you. I have a doubt. Sir, how to clarify our knowledge?
How to?
Clarify our knowledge.
The point is that clarify your knowledge. I think what you are asking is that how to be clear with your knowledge.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Now, use it somewhere. Use it in particular solving a particular problem, or use it in applying to a certain particular issue. Use it to expand that knowledge, and you will know what you have, what you know. You know, there's a saying, I know what I know, but don't know how to know it. I know what I know, but don't know how to know it. That should not be the case. Please understand that once you have a knowledge, you should be able to apply it. Einstein once very properly said, if you know something, you should be able to put it in abstract words or abstract language. That's mathematics. If your knowledge is so pure, so perfect, then you can put it in form of equation, and that is the highest form in which you can crystallize your knowledge. So if you want to crystallize your knowledge, try to bring it to a mathematical model, or try to bring it into a mathematical formulation. That will tell you whether you know it or not.
Thank you, sir. Thanks so much. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, with the great amount of food for thought that you've been given, the trail of questions can be never ending, in fact.
Yes.
And definitely we can count on you to be by our side as guide and mentor whenever we need you.
Sure, sir. Sure. I'm always honored by the people who are around me, and that is my greatest earning in life. And thank you so much for giving me this time. Thanks to the students who were there. I only wish that we all learn and learn to learn more and more, have knowledge, and that knowledge which is leading us to being a perfect human being and perfect person. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are very honored. I'd request Rajul sir to formally, on our behalf, thank sir for his noble presence.
Yeah, thank you, Kakji. You don't have to thank family members.
Very true. Very true. Part of us. Yeah.
So
He's part of
Kakji
us.
is like a family member for
Yes,
us. He has
yes,
been
yes.
a guide and mentor. So thank you, Kakji. Formally, he's asking me to do, but it's something that I feel.
Rajulji, I am always a student, you know.
Yes, I know. I was telling Sharmila ji how you are, sitting in the front row and saying, "Hey, फिर से बताओ ये वाला part." This.
So
It's so nice.
yeah.
Always.
So you don't have to thank me.
Yes.
We have to. We don't have to thank each other. We
Yes,
are.
yes.
We are there together in this thirst for knowledge.
Yes.
Together in this exposition for knowledge, and every one of you is a very dear friend, and my only prayer is God bless you all and give us the wisdom to take this country ahead in every possible way. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
So nice.
I feel a lot of gratitude for you. So I must
you,
express that.
Thank you, sir. Please.
Good.
Yeah, there's Shivashish Dubey. He wants to say something.
We'll just pass on the mic to him.
I'll do that, Namir sir.
Yeah.
Shivashish beta, you have the mic.
Unmute करिए बेटा, बोलिए सर.
Yes,
जी बोलिए.
yes.
बोलिए बेटा.
Go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. आप हिंदी में बोलिए.
Do you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Dr. Vanadevi, just a minute. Let Shivashish continue and then we'll come to you. हाँ शिवाशीष बोलिए बेटा. शिवाशीष आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही, आप बोलिए जरा सा.
And Namir sir, maybe there's some kind of a technical issue. Maybe we'll.
Yeah, he has a problem with his phone.
Yeah, network. He said.
Yeah.
मेरी आवाज आ रही है? हेलो, आवाज आ रही है?
आ रही, बोलिए बेटा, आइए.
आ रही है शिवाशीष, आ रही है.
यस सर, आ रही है आवाज सर?
हाँ आ रही.
जी बोलिए ना.
हाँ मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि मैथ और फिजिक्स केमिस्ट्री मैथ में मुझे बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है.
नहीं, ये वो क्लैरिटी नहीं है.
Sir, he wants to say कि मैथ्स में बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है. How to go about it? That's what I feel.
मतलब आसान लगने लगी, कोई भी क्वेश्चन सॉल्व
जी शिवाशीष, आपका क्वेश्चन समझ गए. सर को मैंने कम्युनिकेट किया है.
हाँ शिवाशीष बेटा, ऐसा है मैथमेटिक्स में जहां पर भी आपको प्रॉब्लम हो, सबसे पहले अपने आप से ये पूछो कि उस प्रॉब्लम का कहां आप अप्लाई करते हो. मैथमेटिक्स में सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि चीजें थोड़ा आपको लगता है कि डिफिकल्ट हैं क्योंकि आपको उसका संदर्भ या उसका कनेक्शन या उसका जोड़ किसी चीज के साथ नहीं मिल रहा है. मैं आपको बता सकता हूं कि किसी भी मैथमेटिकल टॉपिक को, किसी भी मैथमेटिकल इक्वेशन को, किसी भी मैथमेटिकल टॉपिक को अगर आप रियल लाइफ से जोड़ें तो आपको वो मैथमेटिक्स बहुत आसानी से समझ में आ जाएगी और आप उसको मास्टर कर लोगे. देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट इट. आपकी समझ जो है बहुत अच्छी है, आप उस चीज को बहुत अच्छी तरीके से समझ सकते हो अगर उसको आप रियल लाइफ के साथ जोड़ो. रियल लाइफ के साथ जोड़ने का मतलब है जैसे गुना भाग हम अपने लाइफ में लाते हैं, उसी तरीके से आप, मेरे को नहीं मालूम मैथमेटिक्स की कौन से सब्जेक्ट की या कौन सी चीज की बात कर रहे हो आप, मगर कोई भी चीज हो अगर उसको आप रियल लाइफ के साथ जोड़ते हो तो आपको उसके बारे में स्वतः ज्ञान होना शुरू हो जाएगा. I don't know.
Sir, because I think he is disconnected. So
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
don't
so
see
sorry.
that's the technical issue.
Yeah.
Abhi to hum, maybe Dr. Vanadevi ma'am, you can, yes,
Yes, ma'am.
please go ahead.
Uh, just to wish to express that Sar's speech is very inspiring. And I'm very thankful to the entire group, the team which organized all these facility for us. Sir, very inspiring, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
From a
much.
long distance, I could feel whatever you express. Thanks
Thank
a
you so
lot.
much. Thank you so much. I'm honored, deeply honored. Thank you.
So could you, give insights on the books that you've read?
Sir, it's very difficult to listen. I mean, there are books and books and books.
Okay, so you can name your top 3 or top 5.
Okay, my top 3 in fiction would be from Somerset Maugham, would be from Edgar Allan Poe, would be from Swami Vivekanand, would be from there are lots of it's so very confusing at the present moment to name a top book. Actually, what happens is that there are particular disciplines in which you have wonderful books, and when I start talking in terms of education, there is this particular book by Alfred White Northhead, probably the most guiding philosopher in terms of modern knowledge, modern education. But of course, our own acharyas have been phenomenal, and I have the good fortune of reading both Bhagavad Gita and multiple translations of Bhagavad Gita. And I find that there is no, thank you. How should, somebody is asking, Manjula ji is asking, how should AI be used? Your opinion on artificial intelligence at the cost of human intelligence? So I was talking about books. So there are books aplenty. And I think we can have different things. Somebody very rightly told me, which is the best book in history, which is the best book in philosophy, which is the best book in literature, which is the best book in. So I can tell you all that. But at the present moment, I would like to talk to Manjula ji. Manjula ji, AI should be used to solve certain problems which together with the human intelligence. I believe that there is a concept that is growing where we are trying to talk in terms of the consciousness of knowledge. Knowledge itself is a consciousness. So consciousness of knowledge and how to integrate artificial intelligence with native intelligence, or what's known as human intelligence. There is a possibility that we try to do in impart artificial intelligence to machines, and in turn use those machines for improving the human life. So human intelligence can be supplemented sometimes, can be complemented sometimes, and can be partly enhanced sometimes by artificial intelligence. An example today is that when you are driving an autonomous vehicle using artificial intelligence and machine learning, at that particular time, you could also be giving it certain particular cues as a human intelligent being. But at the same time, if there is a surgeon who is operating a particular AI-based knife in order to do minute surgery, then probably he has a certain amount of interaction with that AI. So, as I said, AI should be used as a supplement or a complement to the human intelligence. I believe, this is my personal belief, that AI can never grow. above human intelligence.
Om Kumar, Peter.
So we'll try to come to the last question, and then
Yes, sir.
because I remember when we had come to your house, Kakji, it was like magic. It was very nice, and we can keep going. It would be really. It was a very memorable visit.
Sir, you're
Kumar
most
Samba
welcome.
when I had come.
You're most welcome anytime.
Yes.
It would be a pleasure.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
So we'll take last question and then we'll close.
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for giving such an enriching content delivery, because just now a question I was going to ask you was answered just before now. So actually I was asking the same question that you answered now. So I have run out of the question that I was thinking. So thank you so much for anticipating that.
My pleasure. Sir, I take leave. Thank you. Thank you all for such an enlightening interaction. I have also enriched myself by interacting with you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste, sir. In fact, Dr. Prabal Chakravarti once, whenever was talking, he always had words of praises for you. And listening to you today, I mean, I really can guess why he is so, fond of you, and why is Dr. Prabal Chakravarti, whenever communicates with faculty members, he always discusses a little about Dr. S K Kak, Prof S K Kak, maybe.
That's so nice of him. That's so nice of him. I'm also very fond of him. Say my hello to him.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Definitely.
Bye. Thank you.
Manisha ma'am, we can do the honors for informing the programs for tomorrow.
Yes, certainly.
Students are eager to join again. Please.
Yes. Early in the morning, of course, we'll be having the morning session on health as usual. And if BN Bhaiya could have the view foil, it will be good for all the participants as well. And we'll just move on. Yes. So early in the morning, as usual, from 7:30 to 8:30, we'll be nicely rolling up our sleeves and activating all our muscles and body parts, and of course getting enriched with a lot of knowledge with Sundarajan sir and Sushila Didi. They'll be with us early in the morning, and then